Hey, it's Nexus. Some of the most expensive buildings in the world, in one of the most financially serious cities on Earth, were designed with a Feng Shui consultant in the room. Not as a formality, not as a cultural gesture. The HSBC headquarters in Hong Kong, world-class engineers, enormous stakes, and someone whose job was to make sure the building's energy was right. They were not doing this despite the money involved. They were doing it because of it. Hong Kong is not a city known for sentimentality. It is known for being exceptionally good at decisions that matter. And yet this system, which most people elsewhere dismiss before finishing the sentence, is standard in serious Hong Kong architecture. Engineers factor it in from the start. Something serious is trusting this. That deserves a closer look.
The assumption most people carry: Feng Shui is decorative, interior design with mysticism attached, something you might try at home, but not something you would trust when the stakes were real. But here is what makes this unusual. 3 completely separate traditions, different continents, different centuries, different philosophical foundations, all developed systematic rules about space. And they all arrived at the same outcomes. Not approximately, the same. Ancient China, ancient India, feudal Japan. No contact, no shared source. 3 independent systems arriving at the same place is a signal. And we are very good at dismissing things we have not looked at closely. It is a skill we have quietly honed. Maybe what looks like superstition is something else. Maybe it is observation, carried in a language we stopped knowing how to read.
What was Feng Shui actually observing? Not furniture in the decorative sense. What the arrangement of a room does to the person standing inside it before they are aware of anything. Airflow, sightlines, knowing what is in the room before it reaches you. Natural light, proximity to water. The HSBC building has escalators built at an angle. The reason given? So harmful energy cannot travel in straight lines. The practical result? Improved foot traffic flow. The traditions have always had this quality, where the cosmological and the practical arrive at exactly the same door. When researchers mapped Feng Shui principles onto what environmental science now measures, they found consistent convergence. Wherever a principle could be tested against a measurable variable, the finding held. And then there is the study that makes it specific. 2 hospital rooms, same surgery, same team. One room faced trees, one faced a brick wall. The tree view patients spent less time in hospital, needed less pain medication. Nothing changed except what their window showed them. Feng Shui practitioners could have told you this in 206 BC. They were observing real variables: air, light, sightlines, nature, in a vocabulary that did not yet have the scientific terms for them.
A different continent, a different century, a different philosophical foundation entirely. The Buddha, in a specific text, listed the conditions required for mental development, not as general wisdom, as actual conditions. Clean, quiet, not overcrowded, free from sensory disturbance, minimal physical irritants. The Buddha listed the conditions for mental development. Space was on that list. He was not speaking metaphorically. This is Sapphaya, conducive conditions. The spatial requirements it describes match almost exactly what researchers now identify as environmental signals for safety and cognitive regulation. The tradition figured out the conditions for mental development without fMRI equipment.
which is either impressive or slightly embarrassing, depending on which side of the equipment you are standing on. And the framework goes further than a practical list. Space in this tradition is a condition in the full philosophical sense. When this condition is present, these states arise. When it is absent, they cannot fully develop. Not incidental, foundational.
A third tradition, Japan. Sen no Rikyu designed tea house entrances that were 60 centimeters square. A doorway placed at waist height. Anyone entering, samurai, warlord, merchant, had to remove their armor, leave their sword outside, and bow to crawl through. Architecture that made every human being equal before they spoke a single word. The room inside, 3 parking spaces in size. Rough timber, mud walls, deliberate imperfection. And before one particular visitor arrived, Rikyu had cut down every morning glory in the garden. Every flower, gone. When the visitor entered, one morning glory, alone in the dim alcove. One thing, seen fully, in the right space. More than abundance, seen carelessly. He cut down an entire garden so that one flower could matter. Interior designers have been arguing about this approach ever since. The concept behind this is Ma, usually translated as negative space, but that misses it. Ma is not absence. It is active. The silence between notes is not the absence of music. It is part of the music. The empty space is not missing something. The empty space is doing something. Researchers studying visual attention found that the mind works harder in cluttered environments. Competing objects continuously pull at attention, and the system tires. Empty space reduces that cost. The Zen tradition built that insight into architecture centuries before anyone had the equipment to confirm it. 3 traditions, 3 continents, separated by centuries, and they all arrived at the same thing. These traditions describe what space does to the person inside it. What they couldn't answer yet is who built the space and why. That question comes next. So here is what seems to be true. 3 traditions, 3 continents, separated by centuries, all arrived at the same observations. Not approximately. The same variables. Clean air, natural light, quiet, sight lines, emptiness as presence, not as absence. There are things these traditions claim that science has not confirmed. Specific energy fields, the full cosmological framework. The measurements do not reach there yet. But the question worth sitting with, is that because those claims are wrong, or because we do not yet have the tools to measure them? What we call superstition may be observation we have not yet developed tools to verify. Video Thread 1 showed the body reads the room before you think anything. These traditions built entire systems around exactly that. They just called it something different. What comes next is who built the room and why. What else might we be misreading? And if space shapes the person? The deeper question is what that says about what the person actually is. That one goes further.